This is a brainstorming video answering lots of questions asked by a community member named Heroes. Hello everyone, this is Ali Reza. Welcome to the Mentor Code Lab. Today we will talk about Quilt, all about Quilt, and answering lots of questions being asked about mods and how we can develop some ideas into mods. Are they feasible, are they not? There are lots of things there. First of all, Heroes, thanks for the very eye-opening comment, because I didn't refer to some of the ideas that you asked about in the introduction video and choosing our mod loader. Now, the very first thing you asked is, what about the quilt? I heard little about it, but as far as I know, it's fork of fabric, but I don't know if a hard or soft one. Well, when you go into the quilt's web page, the very first web page is not telling you if it's a hard fork or a soft fork or what is going on. It's more like an advertise. However, there is a reason you didn't hear about Quilt. It's a work in progress. It's not finished at all. If you come down to this very first blog post, you see that it says that Quilt builds on many of the technologies developed by the Fabric project and is designed to take what worked well and expand on it further. Now, again, not that much informative unless you go and read the blog post. However, when you come to the general FAQ page, there is a question that says which parts of fabric is Quilt forking? And they are saying that Quilt is a hard fork of fabric. So that's the answer for you. It's a hard fork. So the question, can Quilt load forge mods? No. Can it load fabric? Yes. However, they are saying that as of this writing, fabric mods that contain mixin plugins are supported. But this will change in the future. This isn't a major issue as the vast majority of mods don't use mixin plugins. That's a very wrong estimation right there. Lots of mods are using mixin one way or another. When it goes to the developers FAQ that says, how hard will it be to port my fabric mods? They say that we are trying to keep it as painless as possible. However, when it comes to mixin, they are saying that we are just supporting it right now with backward compatibility efforts. It will not be the case once Chasm has been added to the toolchain. And then they are talking about Chasm down below. Chasm is short for Collision Handling ASM. Is a bytecode transformation library acting as a backend that's intended for use via separate frontends rather than for mods to use directly. It intends to provide a safer way to modify bytecode at runtime. Well, if you don't understand what this part is, modifying bytecode at runtime means that you will inject your code into the logic of the vanilla code. So you can modify the runtime code. And they are saying that Chasm will handle collision automatically and trying to help mods to stay compatible. Front ends for user with Chasm will include access wideners and of course mixin. However, there is no reason additional front ends couldn't be written by Quilt or the community. Here's the thing, Chasm has not yet been implemented, but we are working on it. So when you read these words and you see that work in progress in the first window, and you make note that the very first post is 2021 and we are now in January 2024, 3 years, and it's not finished yet. So do you want to start coding your mod on this one? I would say no, especially the very first question for developers. Where's the developer documentation? Is incredibly work in progress, nowhere near a usable state. You can take a look at what we have, and then they say that, hey, we have a template mod that you can look at it. And normally these template mods are just few items, a block, and maybe few different things, but not a serious mod to showcase the ability. So obviously, after 3 years, they couldn't finish what they were aiming for. They are still developing it actively, because if you go to first, you'll see December 31. It's a very new post, and they're saying that, hey, we have serious recapping to do. We did work on mappings of Enigma 2, plenty of new beta releases. Here's the thing that I don't like. They are porting Fabric API to Quilt each time the new Fabric API is changed. Okay, reinventing the wheel here, but let's say that they are good people and they are doing the best out of the best. Here's the thing. What is Quilt doing? Quilt is trying to make Fabric modular, adding his own things on top, like the mapping change that will have no room for clean room. So they are dropping the clean room concept of yarn mapping for Fabric, and they are explaining what it is. However, reading these FAQs, I would say that it will take years for this guy to finish, maybe another 1 or 2 or 3 years, who knows. I will not develop my own mod based on something that is not even providing proper documentation for developers. Hell no, that's a hell to enter. Also, when you go into Modrinth, by the way, these are my mods. When you go into Modrinth and go into mods, turn on Quilt and not Fabric. Now this is the only one, Quilt. I think this is really not the case, because each one of these are just Fabric, Quilt, and this is the another one. Actually, here's the thing, very few mods, 160 pages, are just checkmarked Quilt and not checkmarked Fabric. And I'm telling you, even these that are not checkmarking Fabric, I think the developer is not aware that he is writing his mod with Fabric API and with Fabric code just being ported to Quilt. Because right now Quilt has basically been copying the Fabric over itself. Now let's go and talk about the rest of your questions. There are a lot of things here and I'm really happy to answer them. So you say generally Fabric is the way to go, and only in its description you mentioned that Kotlin is an option. Yes, Kotlin is optional, and later you are saying that what is the best fit for you? You have actually no modding experience. Well, welcome to the series. This is exactly meant for people like you. But you have experience with data packs in JSON a little bit, and even failure there. PHP, C++, Kotlin, and Java, but you prefer Kotlin. If you come to the Modrinth and turn on Fabric, okay? The very first page, you will find Fabric language Kotlin. This means that if you want to develop your own mod using Kotlin language, you can do that. But your whole mod will be dependent on this mod developed by Modmuse or Modmuse, I don't know how to pronounce it. And if for whatever reason, developer of Fabric language Kotlin gets busy in life, for example, and neglects updating this mod, your whole mod's life cycle will come to an end. When you see that Minecart itself is developed by Java, when you see that the main mod loader named Fabric is developed by Java, it means that if you want to have a very long life cycle for your mod, you have to use Java. That's my opinion. But as I said, if you want to use Kotlin, you can. I'm not familiar with Kotlin, and honestly, I'm hesitant to bind the whole life cycle of my mod to something like a mod for a language on programming. Now, the rest is just very good questions that we need to talk about. So you're asking that, hey, I have all these ideas and even more. I just want to know if I can implement them using Fabric or not. Let's start with them. Adding new recipes and new items. Of course you can do that. It's all about modding, is all about these stuff, you know. Adding your blocks, adding your recipes, adding your items, adding your block entities, adding your mobs, adding your dimensions. It's all about that. So of course, you can add new recipes and new items. Hell, you can even disable vanilla recipes and replace them yourself. So that's one for you. Adding new cave and surface biomes. Well, you can add biomes, and as I said, it's part of the modding cycle for sure. And we see that lots of mods out there are dedicatedly focused on biomes. The details about a biome is in your hands. So the size of the biome and how rare it spawns and binding it to a surface type and generation differences, it's all possible using any mod loader. Keep in mind, what we are talking right now is possible by any mod loader, significantly modifying how enchants and levels work. You said that you want to drop the randomness and make it more like a perks system. Well, this one, I'm a little bit hesitant on doing it. It's possible, that's the answer, it's possible, and especially in Fabric, because Fabric mod developers use mixin a lot, and Fabric is very friendly using mixins. And well, this is one place that you certainly need to use mixin. The reason I said I'm hesitant is because it's changing the vanilla mechanics to the point of non-existence at all. Well, you can do that for sure. The very first thing that comes to my mind right now is that you can disable every enchant available in game for vanilla using mixin, and then you will create your own perk system and you will add your effects as enchants using that perk system. Remember, modding Minecraft doesn't mean that you are handcuffed to the API. When you are talking about something like perk system, that's a core functionality that is provided by the mod developer, by the game developer, I should say, himself. So you need to sit down and write a perk system from 0 to 100 and then add your own enchants or anything else inside that perk system and add it to the Minecraft again. So the cycle for something like this is that you need to disable every enchant available by vanilla using mixin, and then you need to write a perk system from scratch until it's complete, and then add your own version of enchants or effects, or in this case perks, into your own system and inject your own system into Minecraft using either mixin or API calls if they are available, and they should be available because even enchantment uses enchanting table as a block entity. So put a block entity there, open the GUI, there is a perk tree, you can do whatever you want. Okay? So it's possible. A very long process, but possible. Making potion effects stackable. Now, I'm a little bit hesitant on this one because here's the thing, using mixin, anything is possible. Keep that in mind. Anything is possible using mixin, because by using mixin, you can completely wipe out the body of a method in Minecraft, core vanilla code, and rewrite it yourself, inject it into the Minecraft. So anything is possible. However, is it a good practice? Hell no. So making potion effects stackable means that you need to tweak the core functionality of the vanilla code. Heavy use of mixin, possible, but you should be really careful doing it, because you should think about gamers, okay? My kid likes this and that one mod, and he wants to play with all of them in the same place, okay? For example, a magic mod, a technical mod, and an adventure mod, whatever. So if you are changing how the effects of potions are working, and let's say just 2 different mods in that mod pack are adding their own potion effects, you should be careful how these 2 potion effects work sitting on top of each other. You don't know, because you don't know what I'm installing on my PC as mod pack, and you don't know which potion effects I will have. So making them stackable may cause a very crazy overpowered game situation. Or it may even destroy the game experience, you know. Be careful about this one. It's possible, but I wouldn't change the core functionalities to this extent unless I would make sure that everything is thoughtfully progressed and processed by my own mod. For example, if other mods are providing potion effects, I would hijack the effect, combine them with my own mod in some crazy way, and then add it to the player, so that I would make sure that, for example, 3 different invisibility potions wouldn't sit on top of each other and cause something funny in the environment of the game. So this one is a little bit questionable idea. It's possible, but it's questionable. Adding new bars like thirst, hell yes, I will have a video on this one, a thirst system, a very start of it, a very simple one, the beginning of a thirst system, but we will have it. And again, yes, commands for sure, we will have tutorials on that. Turning on or off thirst by game rule. Well, game rule is a very dedicated command. You may add parts to it, but why change it? I mean, you can, if it's going to be a command, you can write your own command. Make it simple. Why do you think on a very hard way? Of course, game rules, if you mean the menu of the game rule, that's where again, you would need to either find a library that is providing access to it, or you need to tweak the code using mixin. I'm not sure if there is a library available for this one or not, but it's doable. Again, recreating old archeology system. Old? Dude, it's not old when you played Minecraft for over 10 years or 15 years. It's not old enough, but yeah, well, it became old now. And add oxidization of copper brushes. You mean that I think you mean that you want to change the functionality of something existing. Yes, again, that's doable. And actually part of modding efforts is all about this one, changing how the mechanics in the game is working. And they are doing great jobs. We will take a look at examples, and hell, it is doable with any mod loader. Make new ores, of course, including new EQ tiers, which would be upgrade of the previous, like the Netherite, or making such kind of upgrades to other items like power rails with copper to have their rose gold version. Yes, why not? I mean, creating new items, new recipes, new blocks, new ores, new dimensions, everything new is the fundamental concept of mod development. So yes, you can create your own, or you can distribute it in any dimension you want, custom dimension or one of the vanilla ones, it doesn't matter. You can make it as rare or as common as you want. You can make it upgradable. Yes, you can do it. You can upgrade different items using it, either by vanilla crafting table or the new game mechanics that is using Netherite. That's doable. We will take a look at these examples actually. So yes, they are part of our tutorial here. Making teleporters with custom item. We will do that in our tutorial series. And use a fuel. Now, fuel is something, a very common concept, you know. You need to dedicate how you want to tackle the fuel. Is it a liquid fuel? Is it energy? Or is it just an item being consumed? Each one of them is possible, and we will take a look at an example in our tutorial series. Adding new things sniffable by sniffer, like prehistoric trees. Now, I didn't play Minecraft, to be honest. I didn't play Minecraft recently because I was really busy with my life, and I didn't play with sniffers at all. Honestly, here's the thing. When you look into the vanilla code and you see how they are doing something, you can either copy and change it and do it yourself, or you can inject your logic into the already existing one. So yes, it's possible, especially with fabric using mixing. Connecting minecarts with an item. Like furnace minecart as your example, or anything else using minecarts. Well, minecarts are entities with inventories. Yes, that's possible. And again, it's totally doable. Adding new dimensions, for sure we will cover this one. Now, the train generation is something that I will not cover in the tutorial series, because train generation is a can of worms that when you open it, there is no end to it. Basically, when you want to tackle the train generation, and you talked about it a little bit in top, I think, generating below certain surfaces and stuff. No, I think it's down below, I don't know. Somewhere in your questions, you ask about caves and stuff like that. Remember, train generation uses two different things. The very first thing is a noise distribution, mathematical noise distribution. And second is a logic of walking through and parsing special things. Maybe let's talk outside of Minecraft. Maybe like rivers and caves, and I don't know, any special feature you want in train, you need to manually handle parsing the train and adding those features into the train, okay? So the train is being generated using a height map that was developed by distributing a mathematical random value generator, okay? Most of the time they use Perlin noise. On top of that, if you want anything special, you need to handle it yourself. So that is why you don't see any tutorials out there going deep into train generation. Because as I said, it's a can of worms that when you open it, it's a whole world inside of it. And there's no end to it. However, you can do it. Yes, you can do it. And you set something down below. I know it may take years. Yes, this one may take years. But that only means a year of cool things to do. For sure, go for this one if you have this mentality. But be aware that when you start tweaking the train generator, then you may stop publishing a new version for a long time, and you may just update your mod for new Minecraft versions without any new features, because this single feature may take a very long time to implement. So if you want to implement something like this, I would suggest to put it at the end of your to-do plan on feature list, okay? Because you want a mod that is complete. Now the only thing remaining is the train shape in my new dimension. Okay, I can put a whole year into it now, because whenever Minecraft is updated, I have a branch of my mod that I can update and publish the new version, but the features are not ready yet to be added for the train generator. Whenever it's ready, then yes, I can publish it. That's a good way of attacking something like this. Again, it's doable, and honestly, I think it's easier doing it in Fabric compared to Forge. Because on top you talked about ore generation, and now you're talking about train generation. When it comes to compare Fabric to Forge, I'm not sure about NeoForge, but I think NeoForge would go with the way Forge was doing it. Fabric is easier when it comes to ore generation and train manipulation, because in Forge, for example, when you want to put your ore being generated inside the world, you have to write some JSON files for biome modifiers. Yes, it opens the door for more powerful tweaks. However, you have that option in Fabric, but it's not using JSON anymore. It's using Java code, and it's much more readable. So I would say that, and by the way, it's not a must-have like Forge had done it. It's an optional thing to add. If you don't add a biome modifier, your ore will still generate. So I would say when it comes to train and manipulating train, looks like Fabric is more powerful and user-friendly. Making custom item to power up a portal. Now, portals are just a piece of code. You can put any logic in it. We have something like it in vanilla, don't we? We have the end portal that uses an item to open the portal. We have a portal to Nether that again uses an item to light up the portal. So it's doable. Of course it's doable. Think about this. Whenever vanilla Minecraft is doing something, you can do it using any mod loader. That's an answer for many questions right there. Adding new crops with different growth mechanic. Now, we can add different crops. If by growth mechanic you mean that it needs some special block under it, or I don't know, maybe it needs to be watered to grow, it should be doable, because I had seen something like that in Forge, and remember, when one mod loader is doing something, it's doable in another mod loader. Now here's the thing, mod loaders are just some API, and most of the time if one mod loader has a feature, the other mod loader will have it one way or another. For example, yes, you have events in Forge, but you don't have this or that event in Fabric because you don't need it, because you will use mixin to do the same thing. So if you have something in Forge, you will have equivalent of it in Fabric. And I had seen people doing custom crops with custom growth mechanics in Forge, so I can say that it is doable in Fabric. Making trimmed armor glow with glow ink sac and coating armor to look like it is from some other material. Now it's a little bit different than other questions. This one is dedicated to rendering, and rendering stuff is possible using direct calls to OpenGL, or in this case, if by coating you mean that you want to show something on top of the armor, a 3D armor is possible using GeckoLib as a library, as a third-party library. However, here's the question if I want to do it or not. Glowing the armor using ink sac, glow ink sac, I'm not sure about this one, because I'm saying that, hey, we can have custom armor and we can hook into its tick info and tick method, and we will do it in our series. On the other hand, I'm not sure if that is the correct way to use OpenGL and draw our stuff on the monitor. This one, let's say that I'm not sure. I'm not sure, not only for Fabric, even for Forge or any other mod loader. In theory, it is doable. In practice, I'm not sure how to do it. Making many types of pots with various number of slots they have. Yes, you can do that using any mod loader, Fabric included. Making bundles, store 64 items regardless of stackability, make them dyeable. The stackability of items and stacking them to 64 is possible easily using mixin. Dyeable, well, not every item is dyeable, but if you want to add dyes, for example, on top of wood planks, then there are two different ways to do it. One way is the simpler way to add your own variation of each item. For example, you have oak plank, okay? You would open the texture inside a texture editor like Photoshop. You will change the color, resave the texture like white oak plank, and then you will create a new item called white oak plank, and then you will add your own recipe to color an oak plank using white dye and get the new item as white oak plank. It's a very tedious process, but it's doable because you need to handle every single item that you want to dye this way. The second way is a very complex way, and I'm not sure if it's a very good practical way of doing it, because the first way is tiresome, but it's practical. You know, you have tons of new items, you just write the recipes and you get them. The second way is playing with renderers, custom renderers, and writing NBT data on top of every single item means that you now need to have a new system that writes color NBT data on every single item. Wow, that's a very complex system there, but it's again doable. Changing the stackability of some less stackable items, yes, you can do that. Editing villager trading, for sure, we will do that. We will do this in our tutorial series, adding some more biome dependent feature like dyed item having partially biome dependent colors. That's a very complex game mechanic there, okay? Because you need to have the rendering approach for this one, okay? And that rendering approach now should be aware of the biome situation. And honestly, I'm not sure if that's a good practice, because you have a wood plank, like oak plank, in your hand, and you move to desert, suddenly the wood plank in your hand would change color, and you go into ocean, it will change color. Yes, it's doable, and in real life, wood gets dry and wet and changes the color, but is it really worth it? That's a question you should ask yourself whenever you have a new mod idea. There is a balance, and we will talk about it in another brainstorming video completely dedicated to this material. There is a balance between your idea and practicality in the game and in the coding. We will talk about it in another brainstorming video later in the channel. Now, overriding some biome generation, both to update them, making changes to their placement, like making some ice spike more abundant of cost of another plain tundra. I know the second part can be somewhat achieved with changing the configuration files, but I wonder if there is more elegant solution. Now, it depends. Some parts of Minecraft are using configuration JSON files. So if vanilla is using the JSON file for handling that, normally there is no way or very complex and unpractical way of doing it by code for your mod. It would be tons easier if you change that JSON file yourself and put it in your mod. But if it's not being done by JSON and the vanilla code is Java code, then yes, you can do anything with Java code related to it. Overriding some biome generation, this by itself has two different aspects. One is the terrain generation. We talked about it on top. The second one is distribution and configuration. I think it's using JSON in vanilla. So I would say there is no other way but copying and changing that JSON and putting it inside your mod. That would be the only way if that's the case for the vanilla. And this probably could go on and on. Yes, this is just the beginning of the journey. You say that I have countless ideas I would like to implement. Some of them exist one way or another, and you can simply adapt them, yes, but pay attention to the licensing. If you want to copy paste the code, I don't suggest that, but if you want to rewrite the code and just mimic the idea, for sure do it. Would that be achievable with Fabric? Yes. For almost all of these, the answer is yes. The only one that I was not sure about was this one. Others are doable. All of these are doable by Fabric. And in some cases, Fabric is a better choice compared to Forge, or I think NeoForge. When we say Fabric, we mean Quilt at the same time. However, if we are talking about mixing in this list, I would say Fabric, because when Quilt says that we are going to limit the access to the back end for mod developers to be safe, that safety comes with a cost. The cost is limiting the developers for mods. And I don't like limiting myself in any way or any shape or any form. Okay, I hope I understand and answered all of your questions. If you have any other question, please, I really like these sort of comments and questions. They are informative both for myself and other viewers of the channel. I really appreciate it. If you like these videos, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and turn on that bell so that when I publish a new video, you will get informed. Have fun, everyone. Bye.